This question was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Sean in Perth, Western Australia. Hey, Jim.
Sean.
Why is every second tag team an express? Midnight, Rock and Roll, Can-Am, Jurassic, All Night, etc. The dictionary definition is verb, to show, manifest, or reveal, or to put thought into words. Adjective, clearly indicated or stated. Noun, fast train or fast way of sending freight. I suspect something to do with the latter. Cheers in advance. So, Jim, why are there so many expresses?
Oh, God, because the Midnight and Rock and Roll. Specifically because the Midnight, the first version. Obviously, everybody knows the Midnight Express was a movie in 1978, and the Midnight Express was the Underground Express, the Underground Railway. It was a drug fucking pipeline, blah, 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 right? Kid goes to jail in a Turkish prison. Have you ever been to a Turkish prison, Brian? Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
I have not.
You've not seen a grown man naked? Well, there you go.
You're doing lines from Airplane now.
I'm doing lines from Airplane now. Yeah.
Midnight Express.
That's the seriousness of this. But anyway, and Dennis Connery and Randy Rose and Norvell Austin had the idea to call their tag team the Midnight Express 2 years after the movie came out. For whatever reason, when they thought of it, when they were driving up and down the road in a car in Continental Wrestling in Southeastern, whatever it was called then, in Alabama. And then they used it in Memphis, the Midnight Express. Well, then, depending on who you want to believe, Jimmy Hart or Jerry Lawler, one of those two men, I believe it was Jimmy Hart, but you never know about these things. But anyway, and Jimmy Hart believes it was Jimmy Hart. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, two good-looking underneath baby faces that had grown up in the Memphis territory. Robert had been working there from the time he was 18 with his older brother, Ricky. Ricky Morton had been there since he first broke into business, and he'd been around for a while. His father, Paul, had worked the territory for 30 years. So putting them together as a tag team wasn't a revolutionary thought or concept, but because the Fabulous Ones were on top, Stan Lane and Steve Kern, Ricky and Robert were going to be kind of an underneath babyface team, but they could be used as on the main event, the spot shows when, if there's another town running, when Louisville runs on Tuesday night, if we're in Water Valley, Mississippi, put Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson in the main event. Well, they got to have a gimmick, a tag team, gimmick of some kind. And Jimmy says he suggested the bandanas and the MTV style look. Because remember, MTV came on the air in late 81? This is early 83. It was still new. So Jimmy said, put the bandanas on them and the spandex and the Rock and Roll Express. Okay. That pretty much was the extent of the expresses until we went to Louisiana. And then when, we started drawing so much money and doing the business and other territories started hearing about it, well, then other expresses came along, and there was then even in the same territories after the Rock and Roll Express had been in Louisiana, then another tag team came from Memphis, Coco Ware and Norvell Austin, the PYT Express. Instead of rock and roll, they were dressed up like Michael Jackson. PYT, pretty young thing with the gloves and the fucking hair and the fucking leather zipper red jackets. The PYT Express. And then there were some other offshoots that weren't express. Mike Davis and Tommy Lane became the Rock and Roll RPMs. For those of you who still remember records, that's revolutions per minute. I remember Nick Goulas when he was running spot shows actually it may have been George in the late 80s around Huntsville and some parts of small towns of Tennessee. Tommy Heggie was a local guy, used to work for Goulas, and I think it was Mike Jackson, were the Stop and Go Express. Bobby Eaton loved that. That tickled him. He said, it sounds like they're a convenience store. The Stop and Go Express. What is it? And then Brad Armstrong and Tim Horner became the Lightning Express because they moved so quick. And you were the Can-Am Express because one was from Canada and one was from America. But it all came from, and then when we went to Crockett, that was even much bigger because now Rock and Roll and Midnight are both on national TV. So there was an Express every fucking where. And it just, that's what you did in wrestling or anything else. When something worked, you beat it up and prostitute it until it doesn't, and that's what everybody did.